Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Graisley. I'm a high school computer science teacher. I'm going to show you how to generate random values in an Android app. I have a layout ready to go with a generate button, and then there's a text view down here that I will output the values to. And over here I have the generate method attached to my button. Let's go over and take a look at that. Here it is. There's nothing in it just yet. I would like to generate some random numbers and then print them out on the screen for the user. So I'm going to put a random number generator variable up here of type random, java.util.Random. Let's call it lowercase random. And then let's initialize it in here in the onCreate method. Random equals new. And there's a random number generator. If we want to, we can put a value in here as a seed. If you do that, you'll always get the same list of random numbers. And this is probably a good time to mention they're not truly random values. They are pseudo-random numbers. Okay, so now that I have a random number generator, I can use it when the button is clicked. So to generate a new number, you call the random number generator with one of these methods. So the next methods all will produce a single value for you. If you want to get lists of values, you can do things like this with getting these streams. But I'm just going to use one of the next methods here. Let's start with a next Boolean. That produces a Boolean value. If I want to display that on the screen, I might do something like output.setText. And then I'll put a bit of text here just so you know what's happening. And then that will display the Boolean. So it'll say Boolean, and then it will add the Boolean itself onto the end. It'll say true or false. So let's play that app. And then each time I click the button, it'll generate a new random value. So here's our app. I press the button and it generates a Boolean, false, true. Each time I click, it generates a new one. You can see it doesn't always change because it's not always different. Okay, so that's the Boolean. Let's try something different. Let's go for an integer. Instead of generating next Boolean, we change this so it says next int. You'll notice there are two types of next int methods with different parameters. Let's try the basic one first. We'll let our app reinstall here in the emulator. So I generate a random integer. You can see it's pretty, these are pretty big numbers. They don't have to be, they can be anything at all that an integer can hold. They're generally very big numbers though. So often we want to have a random number in a certain range. So for example, maybe I want a random number between, let's say 1 and 10. So what you do is you count the number of values that you want. It'll show up as a bound. This will give you the, a value between 0 and 9, between 0 and that number. So what I'll just do is increase that number by 1. And that will now, so it'll give me a number between 0 and 9. By adding 1, I'll get a number between 1 and 10 instead of 0 and 9. Let's run the app again. And now when we press the generate button, we get values between 1 and 10. There's 10, and we saw 1 earlier. Okay, same idea. Let's get rid of the bound again. Oops. Same idea for a long. Longs are integer values that can be larger. So next long. They use up some more space in memory, but you can get bigger numbers out of them. Very, very large numbers, positive or negative. Okay, how about a floating point number or a decimal value? We say next float. This time we get values between 0 and 1. You can't get any negative values out of this. So this is often used to generate like a percentage or something, or you can use this and multiply to gain some particular range that you're looking for. So those are floats. You can do the same thing with doubles by changing this to double here. We're going to see a slightly different effect here when we run this one. More digits. That's basically what we get out of that. Okay, now there are other types of things that you can generate. not other types of values, but you can generate streams, for example. So anyway, this is generally how it's used. We typically use, honestly, I use doubles a lot, and I use integers, ints a lot. That's how I typically end up using a random number generator. So this is how you output it to the screen. Of course, if you wanted to save and use a value, you might do something like this. And maybe put a bound in. So I'm going to roll a die, for example, generate a number between 0 and 5, add 1 to generate a number between 1 and 6. And so this will be my die roll. Okay, anyway, that's how you generate random numbers. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask in the comments below. Thanks.